Thank you, Sister Jupiter. Next up, we'll have the welcome and purpose of this evening's event by our president, Dustin Cravens.
Good evening. First of all, what a beautiful prayer by Sister Greta. That was absolutely beautiful, Sister. I want to welcome each and every one of you here this evening on this Lenten Friday night. And I know it's not easy for many of you to make it here today, but you all look wonderful. It's good to see you dressed up and looking all fancy and stuff. Many faces I recognize, some not so familiar, but we certainly want to welcome all of you on behalf of the entire board and all of the folks who made tonight possible from the Holy Rosary redevelopment. Tonight is a very special night. It's an opportunity for us to reminisce a little bit and celebrate the lives and the legacy of those folks that we honor this evening. So many of these people have contributed so much throughout their communities, where they are from and where they are now. And so we certainly want to recognize all of their works this evening, and as we do it for such a great and worthy purpose, for Holy Rosary, an institute that embodies the kind of folks that we honor this evening. This year has been a very promising year for Holy Rosary, coming on the heels of many years of very little promise. And we've got some really, really exciting things happening. We're going to be giving you an update on those things this evening. And we want to welcome all of you, those of you who are not engaged and involved in what we have going on. We want to encourage you to come home. And we want and need all of you to make this possible. This is not the work of one person. It will never be. It should not be about anybody involved or not involved with the project. I'm urging all of you to do your part to make this special moment in time something that we can truly hang our hats on for generations to come. This is an opportunity for us to really show a community what happens when people can work together. It's a very special opportunity we have here. And I'm asking each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart, in whatever way you feel compelled, I'm asking you to get involved. I'm asking you to give of yourself. And I assure you that this project will come to fruition, and it's going to be something that we can be proud of, and that our grandchildren and their children will always be able to say, we laid down for them. And so we certainly ask each and every one of you to please do your part. Thank you for coming tonight. I hope you enjoy the evening. I know you're all dressed up, but relax. We're going to have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dustin. I could always listen to that voice. So soothing. Thank you. Next up, we have Ben Berthelot. It gives me a pleasure to introduce Ben, because when we started this planning for this event about a year ago, we went to the Visitor Center and asked for some assistance, and automatically he said yes. And so I'm excited to have him here. Thank you, Ben.
Well, thank you. I'm going to be very brief because I know Jennifer told me I had some remarks tonight, but I got to tell you, I forgot I had some remarks tonight. But let me just say that our support of this endeavor, which I believe is a great endeavor, is made possible through the Visitor Enterprise funding that our office receives from the state of Louisiana. And just today I found out there's a bill in the House that is aimed at ending that funding given the state's budget issues. So as I look at your distinguished graduates, I know many of you can influence that, so do your part, please, to make sure that that funding is still available so we can continue to fund great opportunities like the redevelopment of the Holy Rosary School. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize a couple folks. Susanna Malbrough, who's our vice president on our board, is here. And then also our Visitor Enterprise Committee is made up of Mayor President Joel Robideau, State Representative Vincent Pierre, and State Senator Paige Cortez, who all joined me, I think, in recognizing the importance of Holy Rosary to all of our community, but also the opportunity that we have, first to save the building, but then secondly, as we move forward, I really see this as an opportunity for, however the building is repurposed, to really be a destination for graduates and people from all over the country to come and understand the importance that this building and this school and the institution played and will continue to play in our community. So we're proud to be a part of it. Have a great night. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ben. Now, Ben was the first organization we went to for money. The next organization was Lafayette Consolidated Government. Now, I need y'all to really clap over Dr. Shanae Nelson, because this is an amazing grant that we were able to obtain. Dr. Nelson.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jackson. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. It really is an honor and a pleasure to be here to celebrate with you tonight all the honorees, the graduates of distinction for their meaningful contributions to our community, and to also briefly discuss, well, I think briefly, I hope it is, to discuss the historic preservation grant that was awarded to the Holy Rosary Redevelopment Corporation. I would like to share with you the story of how this grant came to be, because I think it is a true testament to how so much can be accomplished when local government partners with community boards and agencies striving to make a difference. In my position as Director of Community Development, one of our departmental goals is to extend our reach into the community in ways that would allow us to enhance our impact and align our efforts with the needs of the community. The first action item in accomplishing this was to identify external funding sources that could benefit nonprofits and agencies who are working diligently to fulfill a mission that meets a great need. And the first project of pursuit is one that has been on my heart for a long time. And I received the blessing of Mayor President Joel Robideau, and that project was the preservation and restoration of Holy Rosary Institute. It was definitely a priority for us. So one Friday afternoon, I began researching via grants.gov for grant opportunities, and just so happened to come across a notice for the African American Civil Rights Grant from the National Park Service, which called for proposals for pre-development and planning projects, as well as bricks and mortar development for historic properties that are associated with the civil rights movement and the African American experience. As I read through the notice, I immediately thought of Holy Rosary and started Googling, asking around to find out about the redevelopment board and who I needed to contact to share my discovery and start working on the application, because I knew that one way or another, Holy Rosary Institute needed this money. So on September 8th, Marcus Bruno and I met with Dustin and Ms. Mary Goody. We discussed the grant opportunity, and after garnering the blessing of the Sisters of the Holy Family, we began the process of the application completion and submission. Dustin and Ms. Goody were absolutely instrumental in gathering the information we needed, and I truly appreciate their time and patience with numerous phone calls, emails, and meetings, because I know it was a lot. They never said that I bothered them, but I know that I did. The deadline for submission of the grant was on October 14th, and at the time I was so busy with work commitments, and there was so much that I wanted to put into the narrative to make it the best that it could be. And I ended up attending Culture 2020 in Baton Rouge on October 13th, the day before the grant was due, right? So I ended up meeting the Director of Historic Preservation for the state of Louisiana, Dr. Nicole Hobson Morris. Never met her before. Told her about my work with the board and our plans to submit this grant. And she ended up telling me that she had gotten an email that morning that the deadline had been extended a week to the following week, October 21st. So I saw sunshine and rainbows from that point on, and I immediately fled down I-10 to get back to the office to put my final touches on the application. So fast forward to January 11th of this year, I received a call from Dustin telling me that he received notification from the National Park Service that the board had been awarded $450,000 to go towards stabilizing the main building of Holy Rosary Institute. And I think we have all been on cloud 9 since that moment. This project was one of 39 projects funded in over 20 states, and it rose to the top in a highly competitive selection process. Since the announcement, the award has been covered very well in the press, locally, the state level, and nationally, which is fantastic. And on behalf of LCG, I'm committed to providing technical assistance and support through this project by monitoring and handling reporting for this grant and applying for additional grants, of course, which will be crucial to the scope of the full restoration of the site. Dustin has done an excellent job in engaging community stakeholders, many of which are here tonight, and in this effort to keep the momentum going, and LCG is certainly willing to further assist however we can. I would personally like to thank Dustin, Ms. Goody, Dr. Jackson, and the entire board, the entire corporation, for welcoming me with open arms and having enough faith and confidence in me to pursue this with you. Special thanks to Dr. Don Hernandez for the amazing dissertation work on the history of Holy Rosary Institute. A lot of his work went into this application narrative, and it was fantastic. And last but not least, I want to thank my parents and my husband for nurturing my boldness to just go out there and work hard and just cold call people for stuff, and just to be an advocate for what I believe in. And I look forward to continuing this journey with all of you with the goal of seeing the full preservation and restoration of Holy Rosary Institute through to fruition. And please keep in mind, bringing Holy Rosary Institute back to its crowning glory in our community will only happen with people like many of us here tonight who wake up every day about making it happen. Thank you so much for having me here tonight.
I'm trying to get her to stay up here. Okay, Dr. Nelson, you can't give $450,000 and walk away.
So if we could just get one more round of applause for Dr. Nelson and the work that she's done. It cannot be overstated that her contribution to this entire process and this project is phenomenal. The longest journey begins with that first step. This is the seed money that is going to drive this project, and we're going to be successful, and we're going to have a thriving community right there in the center of North Lafayette once again, and it's because of you. One of the things we wanted to do, we wanted to honor Dr. Nelson, and as I said in my welcome, this project is not about one person, it's not about credit, but you do give credit where credit is due. And we've talked. The one thing we want to make sure of, when we cut that ribbon, on that beautiful day that it will be, and we reopen Holy Rosary Institute, on that cornerstone, it will read very prominently your name, Dr. Shanae Nelson. And we understand very well that we could not have done this without you. With that said, we also got you a little something, and it's from the Holy Rosary Redevelopment Board. We want to present this to you for your generosity and all of your support. Thank you so much, Dr. Nelson.
I just want to say thank you so much, and truly it is an honor and a privilege to be able to work with all of you, and the work is just beginning, so we have a ways to go, but thank you again, and it's really been a team effort, and thank you. Dustin mentioned something like this over the phone, but I didn't think he was for real. I was like, whatever. Wait, so we have work to do, so thank you.
I love stuff like this. It's a great way to
kudos to the folks at the Ramada. I know a lot of y'all were really worried. Y'all said to yourself, it's Friday, we're going to a banquet, we got to eat seafood at a banquet. Lord knows what that's going to be like. And but it was absolutely delicious, so we want to thank the Ramada for their work here. I want to recognize some very important folks, the folks who made this all possible this evening. We certainly want to recognize our sponsors. We want to thank our media sponsors, of course, Z1059, KIEE 88.3, and KZJM FM 92.7. We also want to thank, of course, Mr. Ben Berthelot and Lafayette Convention and Visitor Center, along with Lafayette Consolidated Government. And we also want to, while I'm up here, acknowledge our board members. Ms. Gloria Linton, who is our secretary. She's present. If she could raise her hand. I saw her from afar, but there she is. Ms. Linton. Sister Leona Bruner, Attorney Valerie Garrett, Dr. Jennifer Jackson, Sister Greta Jupiter, Attorney Don Hernandez, the very Reverend Chester Arsenault, Miss Mary Goody, and of course Miss Virginia Jones. And so thank you to all our board members. As is the case with any organization, there is always a backbone, and ours is no different. And tonight and any other night since the inception of the Holy Rosary Redevelopment Board, I would imagine, would not have been possible if it were not for the work of one of our board members. So we would have been remiss tonight if we did not acknowledge her and all of the hard work that she has done, just a little something special for her. So if I could get our heart, Miss Mary Goody, to come up and when I tell you, she does everything. So we get up and we do all the talking, but none of this happens, none of this moves without Miss Mary, and so we want to thank her so much for all that she does for this wonderful board.
Yes.
No, this group knows that I do not like surprises, and this has been a great surprise here tonight. I enjoy everything that I do with Holy Rosary and the board. I work with a great board, and this is just the beginning. There's much more to come. Thank you so much.
And I certainly want to recognize Dr. Jackson. She is the chairwoman of this banquet and gala, and so we certainly want to give you a round of applause for the phenomenal job that you've done. And thank y'all. Thank you so much.
I gotta make y'all laugh. So we told the committee to come here at 5 o'clock. So I came early to bring the roses to surprise Miss Goody. Well, she was here at 4:45. And so I had to play it off. So the hotel had me drive around the side, coming through the back way to hide the roses from her. I cannot believe we pulled that off, Miss Goody. Thank you. It has been an honor to work with you. Thank you. This is the part we've been waiting for, where we recognize these outstanding, distinguished graduates. But first up, I'm going to ask Marcus Bruno to come on behalf of Lafayette Consolidated Government. He has a special recognition for each one of our honorees. Mr. Bruno?
Good evening, everyone. I want to say thank you for allowing my coworker, Dr. Nelson, to get that recognition that she deserves, because I can remember the first meeting we had, and my hat goes off to Miss Pat and Don for a great job they did with Dustin, because Dustin can remove tension and move very quietly and be effective, and he's very effective, and I appreciate what this young man has done to get us moving, get everybody else moving. Every meeting that I've sat in with him, the first thing he says, you know, we got to get people involved. We got to get people moving. And from a young man and a young lady to do what they're doing, that touches me, you know, because I've been around politics a little while, but to see that they are motivated to do what they're doing brings joy to my heart. I want to bring you greetings from Mayor President Joe Robideau. He couldn't be here tonight, but I just want to tell you that he's very committed to working with the redevelopment board at Holy Rosary. And something happened to us that day that we had a press conference. Dr. Nelson and I stayed over and just watched people drive off. But we also watched people drive onto the lot. Alumni folks drive onto the lot. And when they drove to the lot, you could see them wiping their eyes because they were very, very pleased and touched by the fact that someone took a step in the right direction. And my brothers all went to Rosary except me. And we walked around the building. And I haven't been around that building in years. And I'll tell you one thing, I haven't attended there. But now I'm working for it, okay? And we're working towards it. So we're gonna do, and Dustin and I, we have a little game plan, you know, to deal with the Republic, you know, I didn't say it. But we got a little plan, we're gonna try to get more people involved. But we're trying our best. But tonight, Mayor stated that to me, he wanted to recognize these individuals who are being honored here tonight. I know most of them, but I could tell you if you want to save it for whenever, or you want me to call them up now? Or?
Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
What we're going to do is, you can just follow along with the program.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to follow in order. So each person who's coming up to introduce the honoree, you can come up and introduce yourself, introduce the honoree, and then take a picture with Mr. Bruno, and then you can read the
Okay.
certificate.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you.
So first up, Mr. Ronald Broussard. I'm sorry, I'm on senior. I apologize. It's dark in here. I apologize. Sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. It is really dark up here. I'm so sorry.
Good evening, church. Good evening, Monsignor. How are you? I'm fine. How are you? I shared with the doctor, no problem. My mom calls me Ruan. Just don't do it again. That's where it's going. The history and legacy of Holy Rosary runs deep in the spirit and souls of those who walked those holy grounds and shared in the unique experience of being graduates of Holy Rosary Institute. Not only was this an experience of a solid education, the walls and halls, through the guidance of the Society of Divine Word missionary priest and the Sisters of the Holy Family and the laity, helped to form faith-filled citizens, citizens who recognize the blessings of God, citizens who recognize the Spirit of God at work in them and through them and in all God's people, the value and dignity of the human person, and the grace and blessing of family, for we are all brothers and sisters in Christ. I'm truly humbled and honored this evening to stand before you, church, to present to you the present Dean of the Central Region of the Diocese of Lafayette, the Rector of the Cathedral of St. John the Evangelist, the Church of the Diocese of Lafayette, and the Pastor of Cathedral Carmel Catholic Elementary School, as well as a member of this governing board of the redevelopment initiative. The very Reverend Chester Arsenault serves on many diocesan boards and committees, many of them, most of them, the result of selection and election by his brother priest. And we know our diocesan priesthood is primarily non-African American. His selection or election is because Reverend Chester Arsenault has earned the respect and admiration of his brother priest and the people of God by being himself, by allowing the Spirit of God to use him. From my years of knowing him and working with him and being a part of his extended family, I've come to know that the Reverend Chester Arsenault is rooted in family, and his family is seated right here before me, sustained through the years of formation begun on the grounds of Holy Rosary, and nurtured by the Spirit of God as he walks by faith. This is a most fitting honor and award because, in my humble opinion, I think it reflects, Father Arsenault, who you are and whose you are. Amen. Amen. And the award reads, Holy Rosary Redevelopment Board presents Very Reverend Chester Arsenault, Holy Rosary Institute Class of 1978, the 4th Annual Graduation of Distinction Banquet, April 7th, 2017. Father Arsenault. You can call me Father.
Okay. Just want to take out the time to state to you for the Chester Arsenault, honoring his contributions to the community at the 4th Annual Graduates of Distinction Banquet sponsored by Holy Rosary Redevelopment Board on the 7th day of April 2017. Thank you.
Since Monsignor Ron reminded us that we are church, we can't have church without singing. Amen? Amen. I'm sure most of us will know and remember one of the most popular songs from the African American Catholic hymnal, "We Come This Far by Faith." And our journey with Holy Rosary has been that, our faith that has sustained us and that continues to sustain us until the day we reopen those doors that are so precious to so many of us. So I invite you. We've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy words. He hasn't failed yet. Oh, can't turn around. We've come this far by faith. Amen. I just take the opportunity to say thank you, for I'm humbled to receive this award. There are certain things that are so important to who I am as a person. And first is my faith. that is rooted through family life. My father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, Sostan Arsenault, who started a school for women of color in Caring Crow, made it a point that we all knew who we were and that we were created for a purpose. And I think today, as I look at the young men and women of our time, especially our African American young men and women, I see so many of them without purpose, without understanding that they're created by God and they have a purpose, each of them. So for me to stand here and to receive this award is humbling in that fact that how often we lose sight of the blessing of our ancestors, and what a beautiful privilege it is for us to remember those who have gone before us, and also to honor those who have done great things. And first and above all, I thank the Sisters of the Holy Family. I'm so humble because as a kid, I was not that extraordinary kid. I was the average kid or below average kid that struggled. And the sisters didn't give up. They realized and they taught me that I was created for a purpose. And though I didn't have the same ability academically of other students, that God had created me for a purpose. So many of us, when we are limited in our abilities growing up, we think that we're not worth anything. But the sisters and the SWD fathers helped instill in us who we truly are and whose we truly are for. So I just take this moment to thank them so humbly. It was wonderful a couple of weeks ago to celebrate the 175th anniversary of your founder and your order. But so many of the sisters strengthened my journey at Immaculate Heart of Mary and Holy Rosary. You know, if D's get degrees, I passed. But more than that, I received the spiritual guidance through their love and their commitment to Holy Rosary and Immaculate Heart of Mary. So today, it's in that Thanksgiving that I am so grateful to the Sisters of the Holy Family. I'm so grateful to the SVD fathers who really took time to form us at Holy Rosary. To the many teachers that took low salaries at Holy Rosary just to help us to see that we were created for a purpose and that dignity came in who we were as men and young men and women of color, and that we were to understand fully that gift and then go back out into the community and give it back. So for me, my prayer is that one day we can have an opportunity to teach history, especially for those who have gone before us and have paved the way for us to stand here today within our communities. And I thank God for the beautiful gift that He's given me. I want to thank Monsignor Ron also, because Monsignor was the one who inspired me as being a diocesan priest at Immaculate Heart of Mary, beginning the seminary to trust God and to know that God would carry us through. And again, it was as a young man, even though I look older than him today, he gave that first path for me as a diocesan priest to walk through. So I'm blessed in so many ways, and I thank God for the beautiful privilege to receive this award. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's in order.
Great. Well, I'm excited to be here. I just can't believe, I guess the power in this room. I haven't seen as many folks for a long time. My name is Butch Pierre. 20 years ago, I was assistant basketball. 25 years ago, I was assistant basketball coach at Southwest Louisiana, which is University of Louisiana, Lafayette, for 8 years. My kids were born here. I was married at the time, came back here, and this has been a special place for me. But as I traveled along through the past for the last 30 years, and I was assistant basketball coach at LSU for 11 years. I've come across a lot of people. There's some powerful people in this room. Lots of secrets too, but some powerful people, and no more powerful than these ladies right here. I was asked by a lady. She came up to me on the outside, and she said, "Glad you made it." I'm one of those guys that kind of get up early in the morning. I'm 54 years old, still running 4 or 5 miles a day, and I got a phone call from Miss Goody. And usually my mom is the one that usually calls me first thing in the morning, so I heard this little soft voice, and she told me that what I was going to be doing here today, and she kind of asked if I could come, and that Brian's wife, had talked to her about it. And I had just finished saying my prayers, and I kind of asked for something, and it wasn't this. But the way she told me, it kind of touched me. And when she said it at the time, I thought she was a nun. I really did. And I was born Catholic, gonna die Catholic, and all my kids are Catholic. But she really touched me. And when I got a chance to meet her, I did not know how soft-spoken she was. And if I ever get to be a head coach one day, I want her to be a part of my staff. Because if she can talk that soft like that and get me to do that, that's pretty good. I guess I'm here to talk about Brian. Brian Jolivet. Hey, Brian, I gotta put my glasses on, man. Brian is a 1982 graduate of Holy Rosary Institute. He was a member of the 1982 Class B state championship team, the first team to win a state championship in the city of Lafayette. During Brian's senior year, he received many academic and athletic awards, nominations, and basketball scholarships. His most memorable award was being selected as the 1982 Louisiana High School Player of the Year in all high school divisions. Brian selected Northwestern State University to continue his basketball career. After his freshman year, Brian transferred to University of Southwest Louisiana, currently the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. He was the member of the 1983-84 Raging Cajun NIT Final Four basketball team. He received the team's Academic Performance Award in 1985 and 1986. In 1987, he graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Science. In 2009, the Louisiana High School Athletic Association and the Top 28 State Championship Tournament recognized Brian for his outstanding service and accomplishment to the game of basketball in the state of Louisiana. In 1987, Brian started his professional career with Tentacle Oil and Gas Company as an IT developer in New Orleans, Louisiana. In 1995, was transferred to ExxonMobil's home office in Fairfax, Virginia, where he was promoted to management providing global IT support to refineries worldwide. In 2001, Brian was transferred to Houston, Texas as an infrastructure IT manager. In 2007, he became an oil and gas consultant with IBM. Brian consulted globally with many oil and gas companies, most noteworthy Shell, Hess, Marathon Oil, Conoco, Phillips, Oxy, and Ernest Best. In 2013, Brian accepted a position with P2 Energy Solutions, where he currently manages complex software implications for many oil and gas companies as a senior IT project manager. In addition to his professional career, Brian also mentor young men and women through a nonprofit organization that he and his wife Annette formed to assist underprivileged, academically challenged athletes. He coached with the Houston Hoops Nike basketball organization, where 6 of the young men received Division I basketball scholarships. 5 were nominated for McDonald All-America's 2009 All-American Game, and 2 were selected to participate in the Michael Jordan Classic played in Madison Square Garden. He also coached with the Cy-Fair Shock Nike basketball organization, where 9 of the young women received Division I basketball scholarships. Brian is a member of Martha Catholic Church. He has been married to his wife Annette for 29 years. They have 2 children, Blake, 25, and Brooke, 20. That's a lot of stuff, Brian. A lot of stuff. And I'd like to add on to this too, and I don't want to take much time, but Brian's been a special friend to me and a special friend to a lot of people. And we have a special relationship. And that relationship is built on trust, on loyalty, on respect, honesty. We tell each other secrets. And most important is how both of us handle adversity. And I think one of the biggest characteristics with him is how he handles adversity. And any man, what makes a man and what true character is all about, particularly a young black man, a man that's been through something, is how he handles adversity. And he's been one of those friends with me because, he does an outstanding job at that particular time whenever adversity sets in. It is a good situation or a bad situation, how we kind of advise each other. And he's been doing that all his life with young men. And I know you guys, I wish he was right in this area to feel some of the things that he does for young black women and also young men. He's giving it to an area in Houston. Right now, he's here to receive this award where he has a basketball tournament of 150 teams. It's almost 10,000 kids, and he's here. 10,000, and that's every year. Every year he has that type of tournament because what he represents, how he handles himself, how he mentors his tournament, and what families and people think about him. And I am excited and glad to be up here to talk about him, and he deserves every bit of being a distinguished graduate, particularly of Holy Rosary Institute, because that's where he built his foundation. Brian Jolivet.
It's kind of impressive what I heard. I'm a very humble guy. For many of you who know me, I think this might be the first time my sister and my mother really heard what I do. They call me Tommy. They have no idea what I do with my work profession. I don't have business cards. You'll never see me passing out business cards. You'll never hear me talk about what I do. When I introduce myself as Brian. I don't introduce myself as what I do. I'm not defined with what I do in my professional career. And when I was asked to attend this gathering, I didn't tell Ms. Goody anything, but I told Annette, I said, I can't make that. We have a tournament. And she says, but you guys who know me, y'all know I run the house. But every now and then I listen to her. So she begged and pleaded for me to come, so I came. All right, so she asked me, she said, Brian, why don't you write down a little biography about yourself? I said, I don't pass out business cards. I don't tell people what I do because I don't like to brag. To me, and it's not talking about anybody, but just for me, I'm more humble than that. So I said, I can't. I said, you do it. So she was up one night. She's walking around looking at the trophies and writing down notes and asking me questions and everything. And then when she read to me, it brought tears to my eyes because, we focus on tomorrow, the next thing. We're so, busy with our daily lives. We never take the time to look back and say, what did I really do? What is my headstone going to read? And I was very impressed with what Annette wrote about me, and it made me feel special with her as well. As you know, I've been dating Annette since I finally gave in to her. We went to school together since kindergarten. And she begged and pleaded, first grade, second grade, all of that. And then in high school, I said, all right, I'm going to date you. My mother and them threw a party. They were all happy and everything. But Annette and I have been together for a long time. And a lot of things that I've accomplished in life could not have been done if she wouldn't have been my support. She's been my support with my profession. She's been my support with helping kids. And we've spent many, numerous nights and lots of money helping others. That's just what we do. Because we were taught that way. The nuns at Rosary, it was very important when we attended Holy Rosary back in the 70s, the mid-70s. We were not very integrated with other folks, if you will. And we needed to be proud of who we were. We needed to be proud to say that we were black and that we were educated, and not be afraid to be educated and to say that we were educated rather than we were just an athlete. The nuns instilled that in us. And as a result of what they did for us, a lot of my accolades, a lot of stuff that I've done is attributed back to Holy Rosary. And as a result, the energy that's behind trying to do something with Holy Rosary, Marcus, I want to support however I can. There's some skills I can bring to the table, not much, but I'm willing, and Annette and I are willing to do whatever we can to help, because we know the profound impact that institution had on our lives. And it's sad that my kids are blessed, they're doing well, but the one thing that I know that they're missing that strong black community that we had. We took that for granted. We took for granted, when Lyle would come to the games. Many of you who were out, Dr. Brown and all of you, would come and support us at games. And when we would be in the streets after the dances at Holy Rosary, I was on my double bike and getting into mischievous things, and Miss Rose and whomever passing, they stop, and I see Gob would stop me, and Gob say, Jolivet, what's going on? What you doing? Those things kept us in line. Our kids never grew up with that. They don't understand how much we appreciate our heritage. So tonight I can go on and on, but I just want to say thank you very much. It's an honor to be a recipient of this award. And again, anything we can do to help, please call. Thank you very much.
Hey, make sure he gives some of that money from that tournament. I got $500. He ought to double it for Holy Rosary.
Brian, it's a pleasure for me to be standing here with you. We've been knowing each other since you've been begging Annette to dance at Holy Rosary dances. So it's an honor here to your contributions you have given Holy Rosary, and that now the community congratulates you for that. So this banquet here is a proven statement to what you have brought to this city and what you have brought to the school. So from the Lafayette Consolidated Government, we'd like to honor you today.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Something unique we did this year, thanks to Miss Goody, we wanted to honor individuals who graduated from African American schools before segregation, integration. And what was so unique was we wanted to add on to this Holy Rosary. So next up, I'd like to introduce Dr. Kenneth Brown, who's going to introduce our next honoree, Miss Phyllis Mouton.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. And good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'd first like to thank everyone for, of course, being here. And I'd like to especially thank the committee for the wonderful job that you've done. There's an old African saying that says it takes a village to raise a child. But there's another African saying that says the children are our future. And so, in particularly, I'd like to thank those members of the committee who I saw in diapers, who are the next generation, that I'd like to say that the torch is passed. And so it's now up to you, and you're doing a wonderful job. Dr. Jackson, Dr. Nelson, Dr. Cravens, and all of you, thank you very much for everything that you've done. Appreciate it. I am Kenneth Brown. I'm a 1964 graduate of Holy Rosary. I've been told to make it quick, and I've been advised not to tell any jokes because my jokes often fall flat. But there was a man who was talking to God in prayer. And he said, God, how much is $100 million to you? And God said, oh, a penny. And he said, well, God, how much is 100 million years to you? And God said, a second. So the man said, well, God, lend me a penny. And God said, sure, give me a second. The Reverend Cruz got it. Okay, so the duty at hand. I've been asked to say a few words for Phyllis Coleman Mouton. Phyllis Coleman Mouton was born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, in a section of town that we lovingly call Cropperville. She was a graduate of Immaculate Heart of Mary, attending through 1st to 8th grade, and subsequently went to Paulboro High School, where she found her love for leadership, engagement, and philanthropy. Now, although she didn't really understand what philanthropy meant, she understood it in her eyes to mean that it was giving and engagement and understanding the community through compassion. She graduated from Paulboro High School in 1967. And this year, along with her classmates on table 14, will be celebrating their 50th high school reunion. So I'll tell you a little bit about her activity while she was at Paulboro. Phyllis tells the story of being assigned a project in the 9th grade. She wanted to impress the school and her classmates, so she researched the dictionary and found the word philanthropist. Understanding then that it meant giving money to worthy causes, she also included giving time and energy to eradicate social and human issues. This she found to be her calling in life. And this began her journey in public programs and policy. And now she truly understood what a philanthropist was in a broader sense. In the 10th grade, she was asked, along with 5 other African American young ladies, to integrate Mount Carmel High School. However, after two weeks, the nuns pulled her aside and told her that her A's would become B's and that her B's may become C's. And she was also told that she would not be able to participate in any of the activities for at least a year. Well, Phyllis, being who Phyllis is, she left and went back to good old Paul Brook. This also, at this time, she began to work Mondays through Thursdays, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. at St. Mary's Home, where she claims she learned how to slowly cook grits. But I think Lyle agrees she does a great job. In the 11th grade, Phyllis was invited to participate in a pre-college program at UL under the mentorship of Dr. James Oliver Provost. This began her interest in academic and career training. In the 12th grade, she joined the choir, but not able to carry a note. She still had an interest in singing, but the choir director allowed her to remain in the choir, but told her not to utter a sound. Just smile and look pretty. Phyllis graduated 3rd in her class of 235 and went on to graduate from the University of Southwestern Louisiana with a Bachelor's of Science in Computer Science and Management. She was the first African American woman to graduate with both degrees and a Master's in Psychology. She received an MBA from Louisiana State University and has completed all the coursework for a PhD in Public Policy at Southern University. Now, Phyllis has held many non-traditional but interesting jobs. She was the first African American and first woman hired as a systems analyst at Martin Marietta Aerospace in Orlando, Florida. She was the first African American and first woman to serve as Secretary and Administrator of the Louisiana Department of Labor under Governor Buddy Roemer. She was the first Vice Chancellor of Workforce Development and Government Affairs at Baton Rouge Community College, and she was the only African American woman to be part owner with her husband in the oil and gas industry with 15 years ownership of Circle M Supply Company. They were featured in the Wall Street Journal as one of the outstanding small business administration enterprises in America during that time. Now, Lyle and Phyllis took a couple of trips to Japan because they were instrumental in getting some of the piping company that they had within their company. But Phyllis will tell you the story of having gone to Japan along with Lyle, and of course Japan was very male-oriented, so they would drop her off at the shopping center while men went over to the baths, that they were called. Well, lo and behold, Phyllis, the Japanese women had smaller feet than Phyllis had. So she had a very tough time in actually finding her shoe size. And I won't take that any further. She is presently campaign manager at United Way of Acadiana. Phyllis has been on many, many boards and commissions, and I'll name a few of them. She was the only African American on the board of First Louisiana National Bank, the first African American president of the Rotary Club at Baton Rouge, which is the 4th largest Rotary Club in the world. She was the first African American and first woman president of the Lafayette Chamber of Commerce, where her signature program was Leadership Lafayette. She was the first African American and woman president of the Capital Area United Way in Baton Rouge. She's on board of directors and executive committee of East Baton Rouge Chamber, and the board of directors and executive committee of the West Baton Rouge Chamber. She was on the board of directors of the Council for a Better Louisiana, and the same for board of directors for the Public Affairs Research Council. She's on the advisory board of Acadiana National Bank, the National Board of National Legions Business, and the National Board for Council and Educational Training. So you see that she has been on many boards, but she has found time to also participate in a lot of social activities as well. And she has been honored by many wonderful organizations, and a few I will mention, only a few. The National Association for Women, she received there the Woman of Excellence Award, the Lafayette Commission on the Needs of Women, the Pew Civil Entrepreneurial Fellowship, Mid-South Fellow, the Business Report for Women, Alzheimer's Foundation, and Emeritus Director of Social Mutual Health Association. Phyllis is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Leadership Louisiana, and she has held membership in the 12th Night Revelers Mardi Gras Association, the Onyx Women's Club, as well as the Lafayette Urban Coalition. She is a member of Immaculate Heart of Mary Church, and she and her husband, Lyle, who is my classmate and graduate of Holy Rosary, have been married for 48 years. They have 3 children, Lyle Jr., Lynn, and Leah, and along with 7 grandchildren. I give you Phyllis Coleman Muta. Oh, get her award. 1 second.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to thank Dr. Brown, whom we call Ken. Ken and I, when I was told that I would be a distinguished honoree, we thought, now who really knows Phyllis? You see, I left Lafayette for 20 years. And I wasn't sure, other than my family, which didn't seem fair to put them under such duress to do this. I said, only 2 people really know me, and that was Kenneth Brown and a young lady named Dr. Elfrida Bester, who is in state government right now. I want to thank Ken, but I also want to thank the HRI Redevelopment Board. Thank you very much. You've made me the only woman tonight, African American woman. Thank you very much. And I certainly join in celebrating every honoree. I'm so blessed because I know every one of them. And as Brian said, we really were a very close community. We weren't a small Lafayette, but we knew most of the families and we covered each other's back. I have stood on so many shoulders to get to this point in my life. My journey certainly continues. All of it has been exciting and meaningful. And our beloved Paul Bro High played a significant part in getting me to this point in my life. As we Paulians say, honor, strength, and loyalty
we will give to you. I want to thank my parents, Helen and Clarence Coleman, who made sacrifices, significant sacrifices, to ensure that my siblings and I had a Catholic elementary education at Immaculate Heart of Mary with the Sisters of the Holy Family and the Divine Word missionary priest. They set me on the right path. And sisters, I want to tell you that I wanted to be a holy family nun. Yes, ma'am. But it was Father Wade who said, Phyllis, you have too many questions. You don't stay on your knees long enough. You have another calling in life, sister. My parents also were strong advocates of public education and insisted that upon graduation from 8th grade, I and my brothers and sister would enter Paulboro High School. As difficult a transition as that was for me at that time, I was determined to fully engage in the academics and certainly my share of extracurricular activity. Paulboro prepared me adequately for college, for work, and for life. I have collaborated, conversed, and competed with the best. I have traveled the world and led small and large teams. I owe my preparation, determination, and liberation to good old Paulboro. Paulboro was not just a building, it was an institution and a community. It gave me so many, as well as so many Paulians here tonight, the building blocks for a successful and happy life. Though the building was shut down, the legacy definitely continues. Paulboro, we love you till the end of time. We will never forget dear old Paulboro. I have to thank my husband, Lyle. I would be remiss to have a husband who allowed me to travel the world, sometimes without him, to do some non-traditional things that most would not allow. I thank him, for he has helped to fulfill my life, and I am so appreciative and love him. We will never forget our dear Paulboro. Thank you very much for the honor of me, but thank you for allowing me to honor dear old Paulboro.
It's a pleasure standing here with you to honor you for your contributions to Paulboro and to this city. I can remember at the Capitol when you told me in the chambers there, and we were working the same floor that day, she said, "You're going to learn. Just keep your mouth closed for a while."
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. Mouton. Next up, we have Mr. John Broussard, who will introduce our next honoree, Mr. Wilford Cluse.
Ladies and gentlemen, of course, it is an honor to be up here to introduce the next honoree. But I have to say this, though, too, because as I listen to many of you talk about graduating from high school, and I feel a little jealous because I didn't get that opportunity to graduate from any high school, Paulboro or Holy Rosary. But if I had to attend, I had a decision to make. I don't know which one I would want to go to. I probably would want to follow my mother's footsteps because my mother was a boarder at Holy Rosary. And Holy Rosary gave me my first job after I graduated from college. So I have an obligation to Holy Rosary, and I will always support Holy Rosary. It is my pleasure, of course, to stand up here and read this bio from my good friend Paul Clouse. Monsieur Clouse, c'est un honneur d'être ici pour lire le lettre ici pour vous. And I'm going to read all of this, and hopefully that you will follow me, as this man has accomplished a great deal. He too can boast the fact is that he came from some hard times in the country and all that. So let me read. Wilford Paul Clouse, a lifelong resident of Southwest Louisiana. Life has brought him through an exciting and amazing journey. He is a 1962 graduate of Carver High School in Breaux Bridge. He graduated salutatorian of his class and was selected the most valuable players of high school athletics. Upon graduation, Paul received a full academic scholarship from Grambling State University. You went to the wrong place, though. You should have gone to Southern University. But anyway, I found my love of my life anyway from Southern University. Because she graduated from Grambling too, so that's no problem. I say Southern. After graduating from Grambling State University with a BS in French and Spanish, Paul's first job was a secondary education teacher of French in the Lafayette parish school system. In Paulboro. Okay. Well, you don't have it in here. So he pursued a master's degree at the University of Arkansas and required him to study abroad in Lausanne, Switzerland. He since returned to Europe in numerous times as an interpreter and educator. He has earned 70 plus hours in doctoral program in Louisiana State University. He became the holder of a certificate of administration, supervision, and principalship. Second language specialized in superintendents. He retired from the Louisiana State Education System in 2010 after having served in the central office and a local school administrator and bilingual program doctor in St. Landry and St. Martin Parish. College assistant professor at Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, and as a classroom teacher in Lafayette Parish. He also served as a grant reader for the U.S. Department of Education. Within the scope of these parishes, Clouse gained additional education and worldwide travel experience as a state and national representative for the state of Louisiana, Francophone countries such as Switzerland, France, Belgium, for future studies, and traveled Hawaii, Spain, Italy, and Puerto Rico. He is a member of the board of directors of Corderfield Council for Development of French in Louisiana. Paul received a call from me, John Broussard, in late 1986. Now listen to this. It's when Paul and I started crossing paths. Who informed him and informed Paul that it was a family affiliated with a local French supported group refused to house a Haitian exchange student because she was black. This incident sparked the birth of the nonprofit organization called Creole Incorporated, which represent the cultural, resourceful education opportunities and linguistic enrichment incorporated, whereby Paul was one of the founding members and also served as the first president, whose mission is the preservation of the Creole language and culture. He also is a member of the La Table de Creole in Lafayette and contiguous communities. He has served as guest speaker at seminars, conferences regarding Creole culture through the years. In sharing with others, he gained cultural enlightenment from other countries. He recently traveled and stayed in Haiti with several groups participating in a mission in the preparedness of any disaster of the Zika virus in that country in 2016. His expertise in the Creole language afforded him the ample opportunity to travel. Finally, he was awarded the Richard Catalan Creole Heritage Award for the outstanding contribution of the preservation of the Creole culture in June of 2016. Paul remained steadfast, proud of his Creole heritage. He has served on numerous and still serves on numerous civic and educational organizations such as Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Frontier International Mason, Festival International, NEA, LEA, and etc. Paul grew up in a family of sharecroppers in the St. Martin Parish and began his formal education there where Creole French was his first language. Paul Clues is married to Silver Maxiel Clues for over 50 years. They are the proud parents of 4 adult children, 9 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandson. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce to you Paul Clues.
Merci bien, Jean. Tu peux lire ça en français pour nous?
Oui.
Messieurs, mesdames et mes chers amis, bien sûr, moi, je m'appelle Paul Cluse et ma première langue, c'est la langue française. Je parlais français, créole, quand j'étais tout petit. Et j'ai bien content aujourd'hui pour voir mes 2 amis qui sont mes cousins, qui parlent créole aussi. Bob Broussard et puis je pense bien que tout le monde ici connecté avec Holy Rosary devrait connaître Tilleul Broussard. I'm more comfortable when I am speaking French. Hablo poquito español también. Sprechen Sie Deutsch, don't like German because of the sounds, but I probably could be speaking German, but I just never liked it. But coming before you after listening to Phyllis Mouton makes me feel a little awkward. When I went to Paul Bro, there she was, and everybody knew Phyllis Mouton, and all her classmates. I got attached to Paul Bro, and Paul Bro became my school. And I can tell you another reason why, because I married a graduate from Paul Bro. Sylvia Maxiel, before I added the Clues to her name. It's been a long journey, I can tell you. John talked a little bit. Thank you, John, for that introduction. he talked a little bit about where I come from, but a lot of you would never really understand the experience that I've come through. You know, when you're living in a home with more than 14 people, I'm not counting the cats that were in the home, and not the dogs that are outside, and the hogs and the cows and the mules and the horses and the ducks and the chickens. So I had to wake up as a little kid and go milk the cows before I would go to school. And after I would get off from school and walk to home, I still had to do chores because I had to feed the pigs, the horses. So where did I have time to study? I didn't really have too much of an opportunity to study. What I learned, I actually learned it when the teacher was teaching it to me. I lift my God up every time, because had it not been for him, I know I wouldn't have been successful. But he gave me a little gift of being able to recollect just about whatever the teacher would say in the classroom. Consequently, I was able to pass all the tests. In my years at Carver High School, I began school probably after we were through picking cotton. And I can give you a little example about a professor named Jones who was teaching me geometry, because I came late and I couldn't get into the algebra class. I got a D, I think, the first 6 weeks because I was not in class. And it was hard to get an A out the class when you start off with a D. But at any rate, it was not easy. It was not easy. I have a lot in my mind I'd like to say, but I don't like to say too much about myself. I'm always, and as I was listening to others speak, I said, well, I didn't prepare in my mind to say anything about myself. But I felt like maybe I should say a few little things. And that's me. I've done a few little things in my life. That's how I look at it, because I feel that there's so much more to do in life. I'm a family person. That little great-grandson of mine is kind of guiding my life right now. Because I see him every day and he talks to me and I talk to him. So he's my life, and my joy. But all of my life I've been taking care of whatever I can do for my people. But I must say this, I'm going to skip a little bit here and just move to how I feel about Holy Rosary. Holy Rosary has really been a school that meant a lot to me as a kid. When I was at Carver High in Breaux Bridge, the Crusaders, we competed against Holy Rosary. I was not an exceptional baseball player, but I had a cousin who was a super pitcher at Holy Rosary, and I was so proud of that. That's how I got to, know Holy Rosary. And Holy Rosary did have some beautiful girls. But of course, at that time, Sylvia didn't have to worry because I was too shy to look at a girl in their eyes. But they did have some beautiful girls. But I discovered that Paul Breaux has some beautiful girls too. One episode John Broussard mentioned, but which gave rise to Creole Inc. We spent our time in structuring and developing the organization on the campus of Holy Rosary. The picture of the founding members is right in the front of that oak tree, one of the oak trees at Holy Rosary. It was our home at the very beginning. where we develop our articles of incorporation, where we develop our, well, everything. You know, our goals were right there at Holy Rosary. And when Miss Goody was getting into her hands into a lot of things, and she doesn't say much, but she does so much. She came and joined Creole Inc., and we did something I think was extraordinaire with Miss Goody and Miss Gloria Linton. We started an initiative to give birth to do something with Holy Rosary. And those two ladies led us into some seminars. We brought in some seminars and discussions, and we brought the alumni together and met with a lot of people. Father Chester right here, we met with him during that process. But I would like to say that I'm so happy that the alumni took charge and it's taken it to another level. It makes me feel great because I know that we were all concerned and we were part of it because we were hoping that something could come out of what we were attempting to do. And all because of, well, I don't want to say Creole Inc., but we were involved, but it was the leadership of Miss Gloria and Miss Mary. And today I'm very proud to say that Holy Rosary means a great deal to me because of that. Now this honor, this award really touches my heart, makes me feel worthy, not because I've done so much, but because you have recognized me as an individual, as a graduate of distinction from a little rural school, at the time, the only black school, the only school that was for blacks in St. Martin Parish. But you know, we were state champions. That was just before I attended, but we were state champions. Because I played football, and I was hoping Coach Felix would have been here. He was my coach. But we were very fortunate to accomplish the things that we did accomplish. There's a lot I would like to say, but folks, I'm just so proud. Ça me donne la fierté pour être ici avec vous, pour célébrer cette occasion. Alors, pour les officiers, pour les personnes qui sont chargées avec tout ça, je voudrais vous dire merci. Merci mille fois. Thank you a lot for all of those of you who are responsible for putting the program together, for doing what you have done so far. But this should not be, like someone said, it should be the beginning. The beginning, because it is something great. Again, merci. Danke. Gracias.
Okay, Fred. Thank you. I want to congratulate you for the work you have done in the community and what you have done for the folks here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Clues. Next up, Attorney Don Hernandez will introduce our next honoree, Mr. Elvin Pradier.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jackson. Elvin Pradier is a 1959 graduate of Jonas Henderson High School in New Iberia, Louisiana. Upon completing high school, he entered the United States Army and served honorably for 2 years. He was honorably discharged. Upon his discharge, he enrolled at Southern University in Baton Rouge, where he earned his Bachelor's of Science degree in Industrial Arts, a Master's, and a Master's plus 30 in Administration and Supervision. Mr. Pradia retired from the Iberia Parish school system after 33.5 years of service as a teacher, coach, assistant principal, and principal. Currently, he serves as a school board member representing District 2 in Iberia Parish, a district that he has represented for 15 years. Mr. Pradia is a former member of several boards: the Louisiana School Board Association Board of Directors, Louisiana Principals Association, the Southern University Board of Supervisors, the Louisiana State Teachers Certification Board, Supervising Board of the Louisiana Education Association, the Iberia Education Association, as well as other parish, state, education, and local civil boards. Mr. Pradia is also a contractor with the state general contractor's license. He was actually the first African American in Iberia Parish to own the title general contractor. He is credited with building hundreds of homes and businesses in the area. He had a love for teaching, but also a love for the arts and carpentry. His main career has always been education, and he considered carpentry as his therapy. When Mr. Pradia is not busy serving on the many boards that he serves on, he enjoys spending time and traveling with his lovely wife, Virgie Broussard Pradia. Mr. Pradia, I am thrilled to be able to present you this evening to this wonderful audience. Please come forward.
Let me say good evening once again. It's a privilege that I stand before you as an honoree. I'm not from Lafayette, but some of my closest friends are from Lafayette. Matter of fact, one of my closest buddies that I have that have been friends for the past 60 years graduated from the Rosary. And his name is Coach Don Baptiste. Many of you know him. He's here from Lafayette. John Broussard and I go back a long ways. I don't have a speech that I've written or anything because I didn't plan on giving one. Since I'm from Iberia Parish, Henderson High School, one of the premier high schools in the state, and I also know many people who graduated from Paul Bro. My brother was the principal of Paul Bro, Elroy Pradia. So I would just like to say again, thank you for inviting me, thanking you and the committee for honoring me, and I really appreciate this honor. Thank you very much.
Pradia, I know you're not from Lafayette, but we'd like to welcome you here to Lafayette and thank you for your contributions you have given.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you again. You're welcome.
And our final honoree will be recognized by his son, Dustin, not Donnie Jr., Dustin Cravens.
Don Jr. couldn't make it tonight, but most of y'all call me Donnie when y'all see me anyway, so. It's an honor tonight, of course, to introduce my father. Oftentimes I visit with my siblings, and we talk about the life and legacy that our parents have left behind and will leave behind. And I think oftentimes we take it for granted that they know or truly understand the impact that they've had on the community that they've served for the many years that they've been here. So tonight is truly an honor to kind of reflect for a moment and give him his flowers, as they say, while he's still here for, hopefully for a little while longer. Don Cravens Sr. is an entrepreneur, farmer, and former politician. From 1992 through 2006, he served in the Louisiana State Senate. Throughout his time in the legislature, he was a tireless advocate and pioneer in justice reform in the great state of Louisiana. He was the driving force behind the largest economic drivers in the modern history of northern Lafayette and St. Landry Parish, and was an early advocate for the revitalization of Holy Rosary Institute. In 2004, Cravens made history along with his son Don Jr. as the first father-son duo to serve in the Louisiana legislature at the same time. In 2006, Cravens was elected mayor of Opelousas. In 2011, he became the city's first mayor to be re-elected in over 20 years. He's the founder and owner of Don Cravens Insurance Agency, which has been in existence since 1980. His newest endeavor is La Louisiane Consulting, a governmental, political, and business consulting firm. For over 3 decades, Cravens has been at the forefront of the promotion of Creole culture. 31 years ago, when Zydeco seemed to be floundering, Donald Cravens Sr. and his brothers founded Zydeco Extravaganza to help promote the music and elevate appreciation of the Creole culture. 31 years later, Zydeco Extravaganza is the largest one-day Zydeco festival in the world. Along with his brother Charles, he co-hosts the longest-running Zydeco show in the world, which airs every Sunday morning on Z1059. Cravens was born in Mallette, Louisiana, as the 6th of 9 children to Amas and Edmonia Guillory Cravens. He graduated in 1965 from Carter G. Woodson High School. He continued his education at Southern University, where he graduated and is also a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. He and Patricia Arsenault Cravens were married in August 1971, and they have 3 children and 5 grandchildren. Of course, that is a beautiful bio, but I do have to say, as a young black man in today's world, it was truly a blessing for me and my siblings to not have to turn on the television or radio to find a role model. And we're just so thankful, so proud of the father that we have. And none of this stuff matters to me, really. What matters to me more than that is the integrity and the character that he displayed to us each and every day as a father, a leader of this community, and a friend to so many of you in this room. We could go around each table, and there's not a table in this room that can't say that them or someone in their families have not been touched by the work of Donald Cravens. It's an honor to call you my father, and it's an honor to honor you tonight.
Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. And I'm indeed honored to be with you tonight. Let me congratulate all of the earlier winners for all of the great work that you've done in this community and for all of the blessings that you've bestowed upon people that you've touched along the way. And I'm indeed happy to be with you tonight. Didn't come with anything prepared, but just want to first of all, thank God for just being so gracious and good to me and my family. And I got to thank those two people in Marlette, as he said it, got it right, my mother and father, and my siblings, and that gracious little house that still exists, and all of the love and affection that came from that farm community, from that family house. We were not rich by any means, but we were rich with blessings. And my dad worked really, really hard, and I think about him all the time, and I think about my mother, little short lady, who ran almost everything. And you know, my dad worked construction. He had to travel to Lake Charles, and he would ride a bus there. And many nights, he would leave at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they'd get back about 5 in the evening. And we had a farm, and Mama would run the farm, and Dad would run go to work. Did it for 55 years. And when he had the opportunity to work overtime, he would hitchhike back at night. And many nights, we were 9 children, but I was always real spoiled, because Daddy always brought me some cookies or whatever. And I tell the story that, you know, we lived in a house, we didn't have heaters in all the rooms, but sometimes he would go and he would lay in my place so that when I'd go to bed, the bed was warm. And that's why we were so close. And I know he wasn't doing it for everybody else, because he had 9 of them, he would have never slept. Martha, I don't know about you, my sisters. And I used to wait up at night, and we would live near 190, Highway 190. And my mother would be waiting at the window for him to come home. Sometimes it was 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'd be looking at the cars, and all of a sudden I'd see a car slowing down. I'd say, Mama, there he is, there he is. And he would get down about 1:30, come in the house, and he would bathe, and then he would lay across the bed and get ready to go to work and catch the bus at 3:30 in the morning. You got to have love and affection, and you got to really care when you do those kinds of things. And that's what instills in us those values that make life so precious. And I graduated from Carter G. Woodson, went to Catholic school, St. Anne's in Mallet, the little school, and went to Carter G. Woodson. I wasn't good in athletics. I couldn't do anything. I joined the band, and I tried to play the drums, and I broke the sticks. And just wasn't too good at much of anything, except I was pretty good in school. I was real good in biology. Couldn't learn math. If you put 2 plus 2, I couldn't figure out it was 4 anywhere in the world. And it still haunts me now. I think about my college days when I was trying to learn geometry and trigonometry, and I said, what am I going to do with that? You know, x plus whatever, pi equals, I'm not going to apply that anywhere. And I still have nightmares thinking that I flunked and I still haven't graduated from college, so I'm still having graduated. But just really been blessed. And I look at life as a blessing and a great journey. And I find it fun and funny. And sometimes you just got to laugh at those things that you can't change. And sometimes with today's politics, you got to laugh at the things that you just see on TV every day. Because some of it is really kind of funny and some of it is really sad. But on the journey, I met some great people, and I met my wonderful wife. She asked me to marry her. I went to school with her. We were in college for years together, and I didn't even know her. And one night I went to a dance in Freelo Cove. Now some of you know where that is. A lot of you know where that is. A lot of you know where that is. And she was there, and then she finally introduced herself. And you don't have to act like you're catching a fit. You know it's true. And she had one of our mutual friends ask me if I would be interested, and of course the rest is history. It's been 47 years. That's really not true, but it's close. But we had a good life, and I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to serve in public life, thanks to you, thanks to the people who put their confidence in me and the friends that I met along the way. And of course, there's been a lot of gratification. There's been a lot of trials and tribulations. But I guess if I had one thing that I really wanted to say was, all of those things were good. I got 3 wonderful children. And of course, what I wanted to say earlier was, I said earlier we were 9 children, but it was a very nurturing family. And of course, my sister is here tonight, and we have 8 of us are still living. But there's one regret that I have, and I say it often, and it's just because I feel that way. And for those of you that are younger, the only regret that I have, I gave everything that I could give, but I didn't give everything that I should have given, I feel, to my children. And the reason I feel that is because I worked long days and gave everything that I had to do what I could to try to help everybody else. And sometimes I sit back and I really miss the times that I didn't spend with my children when they were growing up, because I was too busy trying to make everybody else happy. And I kind of regret that. And they pick at me about it, and they say, well, you know, you didn't do it, but we did okay. But that's the only thing I regret. So if you're a young person and you have young children, spend time with them. It's really, really, really important. And give them all you got. Now, of course, with the grandkids, they say, well, why you didn't spend time with us, Daddy, but you spent all the time with the grandchildren? Well, honestly, the grandchildren are so much easier to deal with. I mean, because they come, they love you to death, they hug you, they know what to say when they want what they want to get, and you give them everything that you got. So thank you very much, folks. Thank you for this blessing. Thank you for this recognition. I truly appreciate it. And I hope that this effort that's being put forward by the Holy Rosary Redevelopment Group comes to fruition. There's no doubt in my mind that it will, because I can see the energy and the enthusiasm that's being expressed by all of the people that are involved. We wish you all the best. We hope that you will continue your great work and that you can revitalize and rejuvenate this great institution of learning and make it a true cultural and educational center in the heart of Lafayette. Thank you very much. God bless you, and thank you again.
Hey, brother.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of the city of Lafayette, we'd like to thank you for everything.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Mr. Cravens. While Ms. Patsy and J.B. Sachs gets ready to do this special honor, we'd like to ask all the honorees if you can please move to my left so we can take a group picture, because we know after the program it's difficult to try to get everyone. So if all the honorees, would you like them to bring their awards? Please bring your awards. I'd also like to ask the board members as well as Dr. Nelson. We'd like to get a picture with you as well. So if you all could just move to this area so we do not interrupt the special presentation. Thank you.
And we want to thank each and every one of you from the bottom of our hearts for coming out tonight. We truly enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Again, when I said it earlier, it was not just words, it was not just rhetoric. I am asking each and every one of you to please look inside of yourselves and become a part of this project. We are asking all of you to give just a little bit of yourselves. Together we can make this possible. We're closer than we've ever been. We had some really wonderful announcements that are just close enough that we can't let out the bag quite yet, but I assure you the $450,000 was a tremendous announcement. But in the next weeks and coming days, you'll be hearing some more fabulous news from Holy Rosary. So be on the lookout. And of course, we ask that you stay involved and stay engaged. Please be careful on your way home tonight. We thank you. We love you. We'll see you again next year, but we hope to see you a lot more in the Y'all have a good night.
AOC Community Media.